We will be going over the basics of Audacity, from installing to navigating and using the basic tools. To download Audacity, you'll go to audacity.sourceforge.net. Click on the Download tab and look for your operating system. Find your operating system and click on the installer. Go ahead and save that file to your desktop. Once that file has been saved, I want you to look for one other file to save. The file that you're going to be looking for is the LAME MP3 encoder. That's going to allow you to export your files as an MP3 file. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. That takes you to another page, and you're going to look for the download page. Click on that, and you'll have to scroll down and read very carefully to look for your download. I'm going to go ahead and click on my download for Windows and save that file to my desktop also. Once that file has been saved, go ahead and exit out of your browser. There are no special requirements for installing Audacity. Simply accept the agreement and click your way through the wizard. Once you've installed, it'll ask you to set your language for the program, and then you'll be ready to begin. The interface of Audacity is slightly different in Windows than it is in Mac. We will go through both of them. The basic workings of Audacity are the same once you are in the program itself. You'll look for the headsets with the sound waves between. That icon looks the same regardless of which operating system you're in. Once you have opened up the program, your interface will look like this if you're in a Windows operating system. Prior to going through the tools on the interface, generally when you're recording on Audacity, you're using a headset. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set your preferences. So you're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and what we'd like to do is make sure that our audio is set correctly. And right now my playback device is set for Microsoft Sound Mapper, and that's not correct because I am on a headset. So I'm going to switch over to the USB headset that I'm using, and the same with my recording device. My recording device is this same USB headset, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that over also. So even though it showed the USB headset in my control panel, I needed to go within my Audacity preferences to get that set up there. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and now my microphone and headset should be set correctly. In the upper left hand corner are some tools. This first one looks like an eye, and this one is your selection tool. You'll use this to select the range of audio that you want to edit or listen to. This next tool is called an envelope tool. This allows you to change the volume, either increase or decrease it over time. So you can select a clip or larger and edit it, or increase and decrease the sound throughout the entire clip. This draw tool, not actually a draw, what it allows you to do is zoom in very closely and edit individual notes within the music clip. The next tool is your zoom, which allows you to zoom in to that very close note to be able to edit it. The next one with the arrows pointing back and forth is the time shift tool. This allows you to slide the tracks back and forth, left or right, so if you needed to add in an additional clip or adjust where your timing of your sound began, you can use the time shift tool. This last one that looks like an asterisk is called the multi-tool. By clicking on this tool, it allows you to select more than one tool at a time to use all of the tools at the same time. Next is your audio control buttons. The first one is a skip to start, so if you were at the end and you wanted just to rewind all the way back to the beginning, you can click on this button rather than trying to find the beginning. This is your play. It will begin playing your audio from wherever your cursor is. The red button records your audio that you're playing. The pause button. This stops your recording or stops your playback. And then this skips to the end, moving your cursor to the very end of your track. The Audacity interface on the Mac operating system is similar to the Audacity interface on the PC. You'll go to Audacity Preferences, then once there, you'll click on the audio tab, and in your playback devices, select your headset for both the playback as well as the recording device. The top portion of the control toolbar on the Mac is the same as the PC. You'll see that you have the selection tool, the envelope tool, and the draw tool across the top. Underneath, you'll see the zoom, time shift, and multi-tool. Along this right-hand side, you'll see all of the audio control buttons. Directly underneath, you will see the cut, copy and paste, as well as the trim audio selection at end and the silence audio selection. You'll also see the undo and redo as well as the zoom tools. This is situated in a slightly different area than on the PC. Okay, I'm clicking on record and just recording my speaking right now so that I can demonstrate a little bit of the editing tools with an actual track. Go ahead and click on stop now, and I've stopped my recording. Once I have my audio track, I'm ready now to edit my audio track. So I have my selection tool selected, and say I want to listen just to the first section. So I can use my selector tool and just listen to my first selection, whatever part I want to listen to. So I select it and I can click to play on the audio control buttons. So say I've listened to this section and it is no speaking. As you can see with the sound waves, this is probably pretty blank space here. So what I can do is I can choose to cut it so that it is no longer part of my audio selection. Another thing I can opt to do is to click on my envelope tool. Notice when I clicked on my envelope tool, the audio track changed. It is now all highlighted, and so I can select sections to increase or decrease the sound. As I click, you'll notice that these little white dots appear along the track. Those allow me to grab so that I can decrease or increase the volume of my track. Should I change my mind, I can always go back up to Edit and undo those steps. So long as I have not saved it yet, I can go ahead and do those edit undos. Next, I could also edit individual notes. As you'll notice, I mentioned that earlier with the draw tool. Well, first I would have to zoom in. So I can use the zoom tool over here in the upper left hand corner, click on it, and simply zoom into a section. And I have to zoom in fairly close till I can see the individual notes. Then I can click on the pencil. That draw tool allows me to grab a note to increase or decrease them individually. Once again, if I change my mind, I can always go to undo, and it allows me to undo just that very last step. Right now I'm zoomed out, and I could go ahead and use this tool, the zoom back in, by clicking one at a time. I could also choose to use this tool here, which is the magnifying glass, and it will allow me to fit the project to the window in one step as opposed to several clicks using the zoom in tool or the zoom out tool with this magnifying glass and the minus sign on it. Okay, we have just a couple more tools that I'd like to go over. I'm back on my selection tool, and I'm going to select the part of the audio track that I want to keep. Then I'm going to use this tool here, and this tool is trim outside selection. So now by clicking on it, what it will do is it will trim all the selections that I do not have selected. So now you'll notice that this side and this side are totally gone. So now I'll have to, because this is blank space here in front of my audio track, I will use my time shift tool, click on it, to grab my audio track and slide it over. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the selection tool, and I'm going to rewind back to the very beginning. The tool right next to it here, this is the silence a selection. So say for instance that I had some music playing towards the end and I kind of wanted a fade out. I could have my very ending part of my track be silenced by simply selecting it with my selection tool and then clicking on this icon here, and that will silence the selection. As you'll notice that all of the audio waves now have disappeared. Prior to importing any any music files in here, I'm going to go ahead and just do a file, save my project. I'm going to go ahead and just save it to my desktop, and I'm going to just call it Audacity Project. Go ahead and save that now. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to import some audio from my iTunes. So I'm going to go ahead and select a music file from my iTunes, an MP3 file. And there's my file imported, and you can see it's much longer than my audio file. I'm going to go ahead and using my time shift tool move my audio file over a little bit, because what I'm thinking I'm going to do is have a little bit of music at the beginning, then my audio file, then a little bit of music at the end. I'm going to go ahead and select my time shift. Whoops, not the right file selected. I'm going to go ahead and mute my audio file, and now I have my music file that I'd like to select, and using the envelope, I'm going to go ahead and click where my audio file is so that I can silence that section using the envelope tool. Now I could also have chosen to use the select tool, selected that section, and then silenced it using the silent selection tool. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. The next section that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to select the part that I want to keep, and then I'm going to use the trim the end to get rid of all of the music at the end. To test your recording now, I'm going to uncheck mute and then hit rewind to make sure I'm rewound. Click the play button. I hit record so that I could demonstrate with an actual audio track all of the editing tools that are in Audacity. That's the basic of using Audacity. Make sure that you save your project. Once you've saved your project, you can save it as a second name if you need to, but the reason why you would save your project is so that you can go back in and add or modify your tracks. You can also, once you've done that, export as a WAV file or an MP3 file. WAV if you're going to be using this audio file in perhaps a PowerPoint, an MP3 for QuickTime or using in iTunes, or if you are planning to use it for myccsd.net.